What's the most annoying thing that ever happened to you? A fake friend. They tell you college is where you find yourself. The brochures paint it as a place of late night debates and lifelong friendships, of learning how to think and who to be. But nobody hands you a pamphlet that says, also, sometimes you'll meet people who want you to fail, and the worst part is they'll pretend to be your friend while they do it. My story starts with one of those friends. His name was Zach. We met sophomore year. Same lecture hall, same major, same habit of always sitting 3 rows from the front. Zach was affable in that easy way that disguises everything else. He laughed at the right times, knew the professor's quirks, and had the kind of effortless charm that made people assume he was genuine. For months, I believed he was harmless. For months, I believed he was on my side. By the time I realized he wasn't, the pattern was already too deep. The early signs. At first, it was small. College is full of minor annoyances, printers jamming, group members slacking, music bleeding through thin dorm walls. Zach slipped in as just another irritation. He borrowed my notes after I'd stayed up sick and exhausted to type them out. He forgot to return my charger. He ate my food from the shared fridge and left the empty wrapper like a taunt. It was annoying, but tolerable. Until I started noticing the rhythm. Whenever I did something useful, Zach was right there to benefit. If I organized a study group, he joined late and soaked in the work. If I wrote an outline, he cracked jokes in the background, then criticized it later. He was always there, orbiting my effort. I let it slide. After all, he was my friend. The group project disaster. The first real crack appeared in our social data analytics class. We had one high stakes group presentation me, Zoe, Marcus, and of course, Zach. I handled the analysis, Zoe the code, Marcus the visuals. Zach's role was to present and handle questions. We rehearsed for weeks, late nights in the lab, bad coffee, and obsessive detail. On presentation day, it was smooth until the professor asked Zach about a dataset we had cited. Zach fumbled, stalled, made jokes, then gave the wrong answer. The professor's frown said everything, sloppy. We went from a solid A to an A. Zach shrugged afterward. I just misspoke. Chill. But it wasn't just a mistake. It was a pattern. The betrayals multiply. Zach started taking credit publicly for things he barely touched. He posted screenshots of our projects online, calling them my latest work. He rephrased my points in class to applause. He was opportunistic, not malicious, but it felt worse than malice. It was calculated laziness. Then I discovered he was copying my homework, my exact writing quirks, uploaded by him minutes after I submitted. When I confronted him, he smirked. You're paranoid. It kept happening. And then came the worst blow. The scholarship he cost me. I applied for a competitive research assistantship, my dream path for grad school. I worked for weeks on the application, secured references, and thought I had a real shot. The night before interviews, Zach asked me to help with his grant essay. I said yes. Later, I found that my own draft file had been tampered with, notes added that made me look flaky, as though I had scheduling conflicts. The professor cited that as a reason for rejecting me. When I confronted Zach, he shrugged, smirking. We just made you look like you had a life. You've got other stuff anyway. That was it. That was the line. My plan for revenge. When someone you trust sabotages you, you have two choices: stew in silence or set the record straight. I chose the second. The plan was simple: expose, educate, neutralize. Expose his pattern with hard evidence. Educate people on how charm hides laziness. Neutralize his ability to freeload or lead. So I started collecting screenshots, metadata, time-stamped edits, Slack logs, screens of him posting my work online, a neat folder titled Zach Pattern. I wasn't going to scream or gossip. I was going to prove it. The trap. There was a student conference with lightning talks. I submitted one called Invisible Labor in Collaborative Analytics. I coined the term credit creep. Zach, of course, wanted in. I let him. That night, in front of professors, peers, and industry guests, I presented graphs of group contributions. They showed the exact pattern Zach lived by, others doing the work while one charismatic person swooped in for credit. I used anonymized data, but slipped in revision histories that matched his posts exactly. The room murmured. Heads turned. Phones came out. Then I asked, if someone repeatedly claims others' work as their own, what responsibility does the community have? For once, Zach couldn't charm his way out. He laughed nervously, then went silent as the questions rolled in. The fallout 2 days later, the department pulled his invitation to present at another conference. Students stopped laughing at his jokes. Professors grew cold. The ethics board called me in. I laid out every scrap of evidence, boring, precise, undeniable. Zach ranted and deflected, but the documents had teeth. They put him on probation, barred him from presenting, and forced retractions. His official punishment was mild compared to the real one. His charm collapsed. Without shortcuts, he floundered. Without stolen credit, he struggled. The laughter dried up, and for the first time, he looked small. Months later, he admitted it quietly. You got me good. All I told him was, do your own work. Stop assuming people owe you. He tried, awkwardly, clumsily. Maybe he'll change. Maybe not. That's not my responsibility. What was the most annoying thing? People ask me that. Was it the stolen notes? The ruined group grade? The scholarship he cost me? No. The most annoying thing was the erosion, the slow way I let little compromises pile up until someone else was living off my effort. The fake laughter, the charm that fooled people, the way I ignored my instincts. But here's the truth. Revenge wasn't about humiliating him. It was about restoring balance, turning annoyance into action, proving that fairness matters, even in small, bureaucratic ways. Now, I still sit 3 rows from the front. I still take notes, but I'm more careful about who sits beside me. Because sometimes the most annoying thing that ever happens to you isn't the betrayal itself. It's realizing how long you let it go on. And the best revenge? Making sure it never happens again. Like and subscribe. Share if this happened to you or someone you know.